The galaxy feared the Zorath. They were hunters of the stars. Their warships were sharp like knives, and their fleets were endless. No one stood against them. Alien worlds fell one after another. The skies of those planets burned red as the Zorath descended. They took what they wanted, destroyed what they did not need, and left behind silence. For years, no race dared to resist. They believed the Zorath could not be defeated. Even whispers of rebellion were crushed. Their leaders used terror as a weapon. They chained whole civilizations, and they fed on fear. To them it was natural. To them it was destiny. The Zorath laughed at the smaller races. They mocked their weakness. They saw them as insects to be crushed under claws. But there was one world they had not touched yet. A blue and green planet spinning quietly in its own corner of the galaxy. Humans called it Earth. The Zorath did. Not even counted as worth conquering, they thought humans were primitive, unimportant. But something stirred on Earth, hidden from the galaxy. Humanity had been watching. They had seen signals of war, broken transmissions of planets crying for help. They had studied wreckage drifting in space. They had learned, they had prepared. Humanity was silent but not blind. When the Zorath fleet crossed into the Sol system, they expected no fight. Their commander laughed when he saw the small human. Ships, to him, they looked weak. Nothing compared to the size of his war cruiser. He ordered them to surrender. He promised to burn their planet if they resisted. The humans did not surrender. Their ships moved slowly, almost clumsy at first glance, but there was something strange in the way they turned, the way they kept distance. Their signals were clear and sharp, their weapons charged with energy unknown to the Zorath. Then the silence of space broke. The first human railgun fired. A streak of light brighter than the stars ripped through the void. It tore into the Zorath cruiser's shield, and for the first time in centuries, the shield of a predator cracked. The explosion spread across the ship's hull. Tearing metal apart, Zorath warriors screamed in shock. The human fleet did not cheer. They did not pause. They moved again, railguns loaded, drones swarmed, missiles curved around the enemy's armor. The Zorath returned fire, their plasma burned, bright. But the humans had learned to weave through death. Their ships darted between blasts, their counterattack precise and merciless. One by one, Zorath ships fell. Fireballs in the black, the commander roared in rage. He could not believe it. He thought his enemies were weak, yet his mighty fleet was bleeding. His warriors panicked. Confusion spread. They had never faced an enemy who fought with such cold determination. The humans fought not for power, not for conquest, but for survival. Every pilot knew the risk. Every shot was fired with full resolve. Earth stood behind them, billions of lives watching, praying, and waiting. And in the middle of the battle, something began to shift. The Zorath were no longer hunters. They were prey. For the first time, fear entered their hearts. Their commander gave the order to retreat, but it was too late. Human frigates closed in from all sides, targeting engines, cutting off escape. The predators who once ruled the stars were forced to run. Far away across conquered worlds, whispers began. The impossible had happened. The Zorath had been hurt. The predators had bled. Word traveled faster, then light. Slaves in chains lifted their heads. Alien captains shared secret signals. Voices spread through the void. They spoke of a race that dared to fight. The galaxy was not ready for what came next, because humanity had stepped into the battle. The predators did not know it yet, but their time of fear and dominance was ending, and it began with one shot, one railgun, one moment when the galaxy learned a new truth. Humans were not weak. They were the storm waiting to be unleashed. The first encounter was not the end, it was only the beginning. And deep inside the burning wrecks of the Zorath ships floating in silence, the last screams of the predators echoed, a warning to their empire, a whisper that would soon become a roar. Humanity had entered the war. The wreckage of the Zorath. Warships still floated in the black sea of stars, twisted metal burning silently in the void. The remains glowed faintly as the cold spread across them. Humanity's first victory was small in number, but vast in meaning. The predators had been cut, their pride shattered, yet the battle was far from finished. The humans pulled their ships back into formation. Their railguns cooled. Drones returned. Silence returned to the Sol system. But the memory of the fight burned inside every pilot. The voices over the comms were steady, but hearts were racing. They had faced the predators and lived. Something no one in the galaxy believed was possible. News traveled fast, faster than the light of the stars across conquered colonies. Whispers grew into shouts. Slaves hiding in mines heard rumors of predators fleeing. Alien children looked up at the skies and prayed to the new name they heard: humans. The galaxy was watching now, and the Zorath could not ignore it. Far away, in their fortress of black stone orbiting a dying sun, the Zorath High Council gathered. They were angry. Their claws scraped the floor as they roared at one another, pride wounded deeper than their ships. No one had ever dared to challenge them. Yet now a small blue planet had defied their will. The commanders shouted for revenge. They demanded Earth be destroyed completely. Orders spread across the Empire. Fleets were called back from distant raids. Massive dreadnoughts prepared for war. The predators believed that sheer numbers would crush the humans, but even in their rage, there was unease. They had seen the strange human weapons, the unnatural precision of their fleets. Something about humanity was different, something unknown. Back on Earth, the humans were not celebrating. They were preparing. Commanders studied every detail of the battle. Engineers worked day and night. New rail cannons were being loaded onto ships. Carriers filled with drones and secret stations hidden near asteroids powered up weapons no one had ever seen before. Humanity knew what was coming. They knew the Zorath would not forgive. The first attack had been just a warning. The real storm was still ahead. Captains drilled their crews. Pilots memorized every maneuver. No man or woman believed the fight would be easy, but not one of them was willing to surrender. Earth's skies filled with training flights, and every night families looked up and wondered if they would survive. The next dawn, the Zorath came again, their fleet larger this time, their war cruisers dark and sharp, their plasma weapons glowing red. They entered the outer rim of Sol with no hesitation. Their commander promised to burn the human planet and make its people slaves. He laughed, believing numbers alone would crush the fragile species. But when the predators crossed the rim, something happened they did not expect. The human ships did not charge blindly. They did not scatter in fear. They moved with purpose. Frigates darted into place, carriers spread out like wings, drones filled the void. Railguns locked. The humans were waiting. The first strike came from the shadows of an asteroid belt. Hidden batteries fired with deadly accuracy. 3 Zorath ships exploded in seconds. Caught off guard, their formation broke. The humans moved in, precise and merciless. Missiles cut through armor. Drones swarmed engines, and railguns fired again and again. The predators roared. In rage, their plasma ripped into space, but the humans had already shifted, their ships weaving like hunters. For the first time, the Zorath felt confusion. Their tactics were being read, their movements predicted. Every time they tried to regroup, human ships split their lines. Frigates slipped through openings and stabbed deep into their cruisers. The predators screamed as their ships burned, their pride turning to desperation. The battle stretched across the rim, stars lighting up with fire. Each explosion painted the void red and gold. Human commanders gave short, sharp orders. Every move calculated, but behind the calm voices was fire. Every pilot fought knowing their families were watching from Earth. Every soldier understood there was no second chance. The Zorath were fierce, their numbers heavy, but the humans were relentless. Their weapons cut deeper, their courage burned brighter. The predators began to pull back, retreating into the dark, but the humans followed, not letting them escape so easily. More Zorath ships were destroyed as they fled, their commander shouting curses into the comms. When the last enemy ship vanished into the shadows of the stars, the silence returned. Debris floated around and the humans pulled their wounded back to safety. Victory had been won again, but this time it was greater, stronger, and louder. Humanity had not only defended, they had hunted. Across the galaxy, the message spread. The predators had bled once more. The Zorath were not invincible, and humanity was rising. Alien slaves whispered to one another in hope. Chains felt lighter, shadows thinner. For the first time in ages, the galaxy began to believe in freedom again. But in the heart of the Zorath Empire, something darker was stirring. They would not accept defeat. Not twice. Their rage burned hotter and deep within their black fortress. They prepared a new weapon, one that could break entire fleets with a single strike. Humanity had made its stand, but the war had only just begun. The human fleets returned to orbit around Earth, their ships glowing faintly under the sun, every pilot exhausted but alive. The first wave of the Zorath had been stopped, but no one believed the danger was over. Commanders gathered on the bridge of the flagship Horizon, staring at the stars beyond, tension thick in the air. Reports came in from the edges of the system, debris from the last battle floating silently, some signals faint, still some Zorath survivors drifting, their ships damaged but not destroyed. Humanity had not destroyed the Predator fleets completely, and that knowledge made every heartbeat faster. In the hidden human research stations, scientists and engineers worked feverishly, designing new ships, new weapons, and systems no one had ever seen before. Railguns that could fire through the armor of a dreadnought, drones that could think like humans, missiles that could change course mid-flight. Humanity's response was not only strength, it was ingenuity. Children on Earth looked to the sky each night, their parents whispering stories of heroes, pilots who had faced impossible odds and survived. The stories traveled quickly, and soon even distant colonies knew. The humans had won small victories against the Predators. Hope grew, quiet but persistent. Meanwhile, deep inside the Zorath fortress, the High Council had grown furious, their claws tearing through the obsidian floors, their voices booming with rage. The humans had dared to strike them twice, to destroy their pride, to humiliate their fleets. The Council would not forgive, not ever. A plan was formed, more terrible than anything before. Massive ships were gathered, super dreadnoughts bristling with weapons, ready to crush humanity in one strike. The Council called for warriors from the farthest reaches of their empire, aliens who had never seen humans but feared their name. The Zorath were assembling an army like none the galaxy had ever seen. On Earth, humans noticed changes in the Predator transmissions, strange signals, coded messages, movements that suggested, more than scouting. The commanders realized the Zorath were planning something massive. And this time they would not just test humanity's defenses, they would try to destroy them completely. Human pilots trained relentlessly, new tactics were taught, engineers worked on faster ships, stealth systems, and energy. Shield's families on Earth held their breath with each drill, but the humans did not falter. Fear existed, but courage ran deeper. They knew the Predators would come again, and they needed to be ready. At the edge of the system, scout ships reported shadows of massive Zorath fleets moving in silence, like dark predators circling prey. The numbers were terrifying. Hundreds of warships, each bristling with weapons more powerful than anything humans had faced. The sight alone was enough to make even the bravest shiver. The Horizon and its fleet moved to intercept, sensors scanning, railguns ready, drones deployed. The humans had learned from the first battles. They would not let the Zorath dictate the fight. Every move was calculated, every maneuver precise, yet the tension was palpable. Then the first shots were fired, not by humans, but by the Predators, energy beams cutting through the void, hitting debris fields, sending shards of metal spinning. The humans responded instantly, missiles fired, drones deployed, railguns locked on target. The battle erupted in silence, the void exploding in flashes of red and blue light. The Zorath commander laughed, a low, dark sound that echoed in the comms. He believed victory was near. His dreadnoughts moved forward, weapons tearing through space. Yet the humans moved like ghosts, slipping through the openings, firing back with deadly precision. Each hit a message. Humanity was not afraid. Explosions painted the darkness, and still more Predators came. Hidden ships appearing from behind asteroid belts. Surprise attacks slicing through human formations. The humans fought desperately, shielding each other, guiding their drones, and using every trick they had learned. In the middle of the chaos, a new weapon revealed itself. A human prototype. A railgun ship firing with unmatched power. Piercing the armor of the largest Zorath cruiser in a single shot. The explosion shook the fleet. The Predators stared, disbelief flashing in their eyes. Humans had weapons beyond imagination. But the Zorath were relentless. More ships arrived from the shadows, their movements synchronized. The humans struggled to hold their line. Even with new weapons, the numbers of the predators were frightening. A wave of dread swept through the fleet. But every captain knew retreat was not an option. Earth itself depended on them. The battle raged for hours, the void filled with fire, metal, and smoke, each side refusing to yield. Communications filled with orders, warnings, shouts of bravery, and cries of fear. The humans adapted constantly, shifting formations, using debris as cover, striking when the Zorath least expected. By the time the first sun of Sol peeked over the horizon, a fragile silence returned. The survivors of the human fleet hovered in orbit, looking at the shattered remains of the Zorath armada. Many ships were gone, debris scattered, yet the predators had not been defeated. Their numbers were smaller, but their fury had grown. Commanders knew the war was far from over. The Zorath would return with new strategies, new weapons, perhaps even deadlier fleets, but humanity had survived another wave, had struck back with cunning and power. The galaxy began to whisper of humans who could fight the predators, who could strike back against impossible odds. And somewhere, deep in the heart of the Zorath Empire, the High Council roared in anger, their claws smashing walls, their voices filled with fury. They would plan, they would strike, and next time, they would not hesitate. The humans had forced their hand, and now the predators' wrath would be unleashed fully. Yet even as fear and anger burned in the hearts of the predators, humanity prepared. New ships were built, new tactics practiced, and across the galaxy, hope grew. For every human who fought, every life saved, the message was clear. Humanity would not be defeated. The humans did not rest, not for a moment after the last battle. Engineers and pilots worked together, building new ships, stronger than before, faster than any predator could imagine, weapons that could strike from impossible distances, shields that could take repeated hits, every detail planned with care. Commanders gathered on the bridge of the horizon, their faces lit by the soft glow of the star maps. Every sensor reading, every transmission was analyzed. They knew the Zorath would strike again, bigger and more furious, and humanity had to be ready. Across the colonies, civilians watched the skies, some afraid, some inspired. Schools taught children the stories of the brave pilots who had faced death and survived. In every home there was hope mixed with fear, hope that humans could fight back, fear of what the predators might do next. Deep in the Zorath Empire, the High Council bellowed orders, fleets were being rebuilt, training was intensified, warriors sharpened their claws, engineers prepared new dreadnoughts, weapons capable of obliterating entire planets. The Council wanted revenge, and this time, the humans would pay dearly. The first scouts returned to human space. Small Zorath ships, fast and deadly, but they were detected before they could strike. The humans intercepted them, capturing their crews, interrogating them for secrets, learning more about the predators, their weaknesses, their strategies. Every piece of information was treasure. Captain Rena of the Horizon walked along the deck, watching young pilots run drills, her hands gripping the railing. She felt the weight of the galaxy on her shoulders. Each decision could mean life or death. She had lost friends, lost ships, but she refused to let fear control her. The humans would fight, no matter the cost. On the asteroid fields near Saturn, human engineers built secret bases hidden in shadows, shielded from sensors. Ships came and went, weapons tested in silence. The predators would never know until the humans were ready to strike. Every drill, every test, was preparation for the war to come. In the laboratories, scientists worked on experimental technology, ships that could bend light to become invisible, drones that could infiltrate enemy lines, missiles guided by artificial intelligence. The humans were learning from every battle, turning fear into innovation, and every day the fleet grew stronger. Messages from the front lines came in constantly, scouts reporting Zorath movements, patterns, strategies. Every captain studied them carefully, plotting counterattacks, forming formations that could trap even the largest dreadnoughts. Humanity was building a defense that was more than numbers. It was intelligence. It was strategy. Meanwhile, The predators grew restless, their fleets repaired, weapons upgraded, claws sharpened, warriors trained in zero-gravity combat. The Zorath believed in their invincibility. They had fought countless species across the galaxy, and all had fallen. Humans were new, but their arrogance would cost them. A sudden alert broke the calm on the horizon. Sensors had detected a massive predator fleet moving toward the outer colonies. The numbers were staggering. Hundreds of warships, shields glowing red, weapons ready. The humans realized the attack would come sooner than expected. The war was about to explode. Captain Rena called the fleet to battle stations, her voice steady but commanding. Pilots raced to their cockpits. Engineers activated weapons. The fleet moved in formation. Scanners searching for the enemy. Every ship bristling with new technology. Humans prepared for the storm that was coming. At the same time, secret human squads prepared for special missions, boarding parties, sabotage units. Even small teams could disrupt the largest Zorath ships. Humanity had learned that sometimes brains could beat brute force, and they would use every trick they had learned. As the predator fleet approached, the humans initiated their trap. Asteroid fields were used for cover, drones sent ahead to confuse sensors, missiles launched from hidden positions. The humans were ready, waiting for the Zorath to overcommit. Patience was their weapon. On board the Zorath command ship, the High Council observed, their eyes narrowed. They were confident. The humans were clever, but they underestimated predator strength. The fleets moved forward, weapons glowing, shields activated, and the first wave hit. The humans waited silently, calculating every move. The first explosions lit the void, but not the way the Zorath expected. Human ships appeared from hidden angles, railguns firing, drones swarming. The predator formations disrupted. Confusion spread among their ranks. Even the mighty dreadnoughts struggled to respond. Humanity had turned defense into offense. Captain Rena smiled faintly as she watched the battle unfold. Her crew following every command perfectly, every maneuver precise. Humans were not the strongest, but they were the smartest. And in space warfare, intelligence could kill as surely as claws. Still, the predators were relentless. New ships appeared, from warp gates striking from unexpected directions. The humans adapted, shifting formations, redirecting power to shields, counterattacking with everything they had. The void was filled with fire, metal, and strategy. Hours passed like minutes. The humans pressed their advantage, every victory small but meaningful. The Zorath fleet had been slowed, their coordination broken, and the humans realized that even if the predators were massive, they were not invincible. By the time the first signals of dawn reached the inner planets, the humans had held the line. The predator fleet had retreated, damaged and shaken. The message was clear. Humanity was clever, resourceful, and ready to fight. The galaxy had taken notice, but in the shadows, the Zorath High Council seethed with fury. Their pride wounded, their fleets humbled. They would return stronger, smarter, more ruthless. The war was far from over, and humanity had only survived because they had fought with everything they had, even as humans celebrated small victories. The message was clear in every heart. The next battle would be harder, the predators more desperate, and every life, every ship, every decision mattered. For humanity had stepped into a war that spanned the stars, and there would be no turning back. The humans did not wait for the predators to strike again. They decided to take the fight to the Zorath, their fleets moving in silence through the outer edges of enemy space. Every ship alert, every crew ready. The humans knew this mission was dangerous, but they also knew it was necessary. Captain Rena stood on the bridge of the horizon, her eyes fixed on the star map. The coordinates of the Zorath war stations glowing red, each blip representing a potential death trap. She felt the tension in her chest, but she also felt determination. Humanity could not run, it could not hide, they had to fight. The fleet moved carefully, hiding among asteroid fields, using small moons for cover. Stealth drones sent ahead to scan for ambushes. The humans had learned patience. They moved like hunters, silent and deadly. Every move calculated, every angle covered. In the labs aboard the Horizon, engineers checked weapons and shields for the final time. Railguns loaded, plasma cannons tested, Drones armed with new AI targeting systems. Nothing was left to chance. Every tool, every piece of equipment had to work perfectly, because failure would mean destruction. Meanwhile, the Zorath sensed the humans approaching. Alarms blared across their ships. Warriors scrambled to stations. Dreadnoughts powered their massive cannons. The High Council ordered the fleets to intercept, confident that no human strategy could overcome Predator firepower. As the human fleet neared the first war station, a massive Zorath battle platform floating above a rocky moon, sensors picked up dozens of enemy ships, fighters, and frigates forming a protective wall. The humans had to breach it, or the mission would fail. Rena's voice rang over the comms, calm and steady. All ships, formation Delta, prepare for engagement. Focus fire on the outer escorts. Drones move in first. Pilots ready. This is humanity's moment. The crew followed without hesitation, their training kicking in, every pilot and soldier knowing their role. Drones shot ahead, small and fast, weaving through laser fire, transmitting targeting data back to the human fleet. Missiles followed, striking the outer Zorath ships before they could react. Explosions lit the void, smoke and debris drifting. But the humans pressed on, shielding the main ships from the worst of the enemy fire. Zorath warriors roared in frustration, their weapons firing wildly, ships trying to break formation. But the humans adapted, moving like water, slipping through gaps, striking where the predators were weakest. Even the massive dreadnoughts could not react fast enough. On board the Horizon, Rena watched every tactical display, issuing orders, redirecting energy to shields, firing railguns at the largest enemy vessels. The crew worked like one. Each person a part of the machine, their hearts pounding with adrenaline, fear tempered by courage. A sudden alarm warned of boarding parties. Zorath ships had sent teams in stealth pods to attack the human fleet from inside. Rapid response teams prepared, Marines suited up, boarding shuttles deployed. The humans would not let intruders breach their ships. Every deck became a battlefield. In the chaos, a small group of human pilots executed a daring maneuver, diving between enemy ships, their plasma cannons firing into vulnerable engine cores. Zorath ships began to drift uncontrolled, collisions inevitable, the humans' courage and skill turning the tide. The first war station was breached. The human fleet moved in close, railguns and plasma cannons hammering the enemy. Explosions, shaking the very hulls. The Zorath were forced to retreat into the inner defenses. The humans had won the first victory of the offensive, but the battle was far from over. Rena's voice was steady, but fierce. Prepare for the next station. We move as one, shields up. Weapons ready? Nothing will stop us. The fleet adjusted formation, scanners active, eyes on the star maps, every blip a possible threat, every maneuver critical. The second war station loomed ahead, even larger and more heavily defended. Hundreds of enemy ships patrolled the orbit, lasers crisscrossing, mines drifting in space. But the humans had learned, adapted. They would not be stopped by fear or numbers. Special strike teams prepared for boarding, ready to sabotage critical systems. Marines suited up in zero-gravity gear. Drones guided them through gaps in the defenses. Even small squads could cripple massive stations if they acted quickly and smartly. The Zorath High Council seethed with anger, watching humans slip past their defenses, their pride wounded, warriors growing desperate, more ships thrown into battle. But the humans remained calm, focusing on strategy, not brute force, every strike precise, every move a lesson in patience and cunning. As the human fleet approached the second station, Rena whispered under her breath, "This is for our people, for the colonies, for every life we protect." Her hands on the console, eyes sharp, knowing that the battle ahead could decide the war. Explosions filled space. Laser fire illuminated the darkness. Boarding parties fought inside corridors. Human Marines moving silently, taking enemies by surprise. Sabotage teams cutting power and weapon systems, the tide turning again in favor of humanity. By the end of the first day of the offensive, 2 enemy stations were damaged. Hundreds of Zorath ships destroyed or disabled. The human fleet had suffered losses too, but the victories sent a clear message across the galaxy. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was dangerous. Even as the fleet regrouped, repairing ships and tending the wounded, the humans knew that the Zorath would come back, more furious than ever. But they had shown that strategy, courage, and intelligence could beat sheer power. The war was far from over, but the humans had taken the fight to the heart of predator territory, and somewhere deep in the Zorath Empire the High Council whispered threats. But even they could not hide the growing fear. The humans had proven themselves, and every day, every battle, made them stronger, smarter, more determined. The galaxy was changing, and humanity would not be ignored. The human fleet did not wait for the Zorath to recover. They pushed forward, moving toward the heart of enemy space, every ship on high alert, every pilot and crew member ready for the fiercest battle of their lives. Captain Rena stood on the bridge of the horizon, eyes sharp on the star map, calculating every risk. The Zorath capital fleet loomed ahead, a massive formation of warships, dreadnoughts bristling with weapons, smaller frigates weaving around like deadly fish. The humans had never seen such firepower, but they did not hesitate. Courage and strategy pushed them forward. Rena's voice cut through the comms, calm and steady. All ships, Formation Omega, focus on the outer cruisers. Drones move in. Pilots, follow the strike pattern, shields up, weapons ready. Her orders were clear. Each crew member knew their role. Every second mattered. Drones shot ahead, small and fast, weaving between enemy ships, transmitting targeting data. Missiles followed, striking at weapon arrays and engines. Explosions lit the void, fire and smoke drifting in the vacuum. But the humans pressed on, determined to reach the capital. Zorath warriors roared, fury in their eyes, firing everything they had. Plasma beams cutting through space, lasers crossing, drones destroyed. But the humans adapted, their tactics fluid, moving like water through gaps, striking where the enemy was weakest. A sudden alarm rang aboard the horizon, stealth pods approaching. The Zorath had sent boarding teams to attack from inside. Rapid response, squads suited up, boarding shuttles deployed, Marines ready for hand-to-hand combat inside enemy ships. Every deck became a battlefield. Meanwhile, small human strike teams boarded enemy dreadnoughts, cutting power, sabotaging engines, turning the massive ships into drifting hulks. Zorath. Crews panicked, alarms blaring. Marines moving silently through corridors, taking enemies by surprise. The humans' courage and skill turning the tide. Rena watched every tactical display, issuing orders, redirecting energy to shields, firing railguns at the largest vessels. The crew worked as one, hearts pounding with adrenaline, fear mixed with determination, each person knowing the importance of this moment. The human fleet pushed deeper, reaching the central command ship of the Zorath fleet, a massive dreadnought that seemed almost alive, weapons glowing, shields shimmering. The humans knew that destroying this ship could break the enemy's morale completely. Special strike teams prepared for boarding, ready to infiltrate the central ship. Marines in zero-gravity suits, drones guiding them through weak points. The humans moved with precision, entering the heart of the Predator fleet, sabotaging systems and spreading chaos. Zorath High Council watched in disbelief as their fleet was pierced by humans. Dreadnoughts drifting, cruisers disabled, fighters destroyed, rage and fear mixing in their eyes. Warriors desperate, trying to regroup. But the humans were relentless. Every move calculated, every strike deadly. In the chaos, the horizon fired a concentrated volley of railgun fire, piercing the main shields of the command dreadnought. Explosions ripping through armor, fire and sparks drifting into space. The massive ship shuddered, systems failing one by one. Rena's voice was steady but fierce. Prepare for boarding, Teams Alpha and Beta. Go now. This is humanity's moment. Strike hard, strike fast. The Marines moved, silently infiltrating the ship, disabling weapons, taking down enemy officers, turning the heart of the Zorath fleet into chaos. The humans' courage inspired their fleet. Ships moved forward, concentrating fire on the remaining enemy vessels. Lasers, plasma, and missiles cutting through shields. The Zorath fighters tried to respond, but precision and strategy kept the humans ahead. Inside the command dreadnought, humans moved like shadows. Sabotage teams cutting engines, Marines engaging in brutal combat. The Zorath warriors underestimated human skill and coordination. One by one, Their systems failed. Their morale crumbled. Back, on the horizon, Rena watched as the enemy flagship shuddered and exploded, fire and debris scattering. The Zorath fleet stunned, many ships breaking formation, retreating in panic. The humans had struck fear into the heart of the predators, or the Mai. Fleet pressed on, taking advantage of the confusion, disabling remaining dreadnoughts, scattering smaller ships. The humans' tactics proving that courage and intelligence could overcome raw power. The Zorath had learned that they were not invincible. As the battle continued, the human fleet suffered losses, but each sacrifice brought them closer to victory. Every ship that fell was met with renewed determination. Humans knew that they were fighting for survival, for colonies, for every life under threat. By the end of the engagement, the Zorath capital fleet lay in ruins, the survivors retreating to regroup, fear replacing arrogance. The humans had struck at the very heart of predator power, showing that they were not to be underestimated. Rena allowed herself a brief moment of relief, but she knew the war was not over. This victory was a turning point, but the predators would return, stronger and more furious. The humans had shown their strength, but every day, every battle would demand courage, strategy, and unity. In the void of space, the human fleet regrouped, tending to wounded, repairing damaged ships, preparing for the next strike. Every crew member aware that the galaxy had changed. Humanity had proven itself, and no predator could ignore their power again. The stars seemed quieter now, but everyone knew the war was far from finished. The humans had taken a bold step into the heart of the enemy, showing that bravery, intelligence, and determination could challenge even the most feared predators. The human fleet moved cautiously, the aftermath of the last battle still visible in the debris floating through space. Every ship alert, sensors scanning for ambushes. Captain Rena knew the Zorath were furious, and they would strike back with everything. They had, deep in the shadow of an asteroid field, the humans detected unusual energy readings. Massive ships cloaked, waiting. The Zorath had set a trap, a lure to draw the humans deeper into enemy territory. But the humans did not panic. They had learned. To anticipate the predator's cunning, Rena called her officers to the bridge. All ships maintain formation delta, shields at maximum, weapons primed, drones ahead to scout. We do not rush blindly. Her voice calm, each word giving confidence to her crew. The scouts moved forward, weaving between asteroids, transmitting images back to the fleet. Massive Zorath cruisers emerged from hiding, weapons glowing. The humans, comms lit with alerts. The trap was real. The predators had been waiting for them. Despite the danger, the fleet held steady. Rena's mind raced, calculating odds, plotting attack vectors. She knew the only way out was to fight smart, not just fight hard. The humans would have to use strategy to survive. Suddenly, the fleet was hit by a wave of plasma fire, shields flaring, explosions rocking ships, some fighters destroyed. The humans returned fire, lasers and missiles cutting through the Zorath. Outer shields, the battle began in earnest, space erupting in light and fury. Rena issued orders. Flank left. Target the energy nodes, drones guide the missiles, Marines prepare boarding. We will take this fight to them. The fleet moved as one, a coordinated force. Every ship and crew member focused. Inside the human dreadnought, the crew worked tirelessly, repairing hull breaches, redirecting power to weapons and shields, engineers shouting over alarms, medics attending to the wounded. Every person aware that the fight could decide the fate of human colonies. The Zorath unleashed hidden fighters from cloaked hangars, swarming like deadly hornets. Humans responded with counter-drones, intercept missiles, and fighter squadrons weaving through the enemy lines, the air of tension palpable even in the vacuum of space. Rena's eyes widened as the sensors showed something unexpected, a massive energy signature inside the Zorath flagship, pulsing like a heart, something beyond weapons and armor. The humans had stumbled upon a secret, something the predators desperately protected. She called a meeting on the bridge, officers gathered. That ship holds a core, energy and intelligence combined. If we destroy it, the Zorath fleet may collapse, but we risk massive retaliation. We have to board and take control. Her plan daring, but it was the only choice. Boarding teams suited up, ready to infiltrate the flagship, moving silently in. Zero gravity. Marines using grappling hooks and magnetic boots. Drones scanning corridors. The humans slipped through the shadows, avoiding patrols reaching the core chamber. Inside the flagship, the core pulsed, glowing with strange light. Alien symbols rotating across its surface. The humans could feel the power. It was unlike anything they had seen. The Zorath guards rushed to defend, but the Marines were fast and precise. Fierce combat erupted inside the ship. Blades, plasma pistols, and brute strength clashing against the alien warriors. Humans using teamwork and strategy to overcome the Zorath. Every step forward bringing them closer to the core, closer to victory. Rena monitored the operation from the horizon, issuing updates. Teams focus on disabling the shield matrix, core access in 5 minutes. Every second counts. The tension was high. Every crew member understanding the stakes, Marines reached the core, setting explosive charges and hacking into the alien systems. The core began to destabilize, alarms blaring, lights flickering. The Zorath flagship shaking violently, the humans barely held their positions. Suddenly, the core emitted a pulse, knocking out internal systems, humans and Zorath alike struggling to regain balance. The energy surged, threatening to destroy everything nearby. But the human Marines held fast, securing the core with determination. Outside, the fleet saw the flagship's shields fail, railguns and plasma cannons firing in unison, targeting the now vulnerable enemy ship. Massive explosions tearing through the hull, debris scattering in every direction. The humans had struck the heart of the Predator fleet. Rena breathed a sigh of relief, but she knew the danger was not over. The surviving Zorath ships were retreating, furious but cautious. The humans had shown their strength, but the Predators would adapt, evolve, and return. The boarding teams extracted safely, Marines, and drones returning to their ships. The humans regrouped, accounting for losses, repairing damage, tending to the wounded, the fleet moving as one toward safer space, proud but aware of the cost of victory. In the aftermath, the human fleet had not just won a battle, they had uncovered a secret of the Zorath, a power source that could shift the balance of the war. Humanity had proven their courage, skill, and intelligence, showing that no predator, no matter how fearsome, was invincible. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, humans floating among them, hearts filled with triumph and caution, knowing that the galaxy had changed, the predators had been shown their place. But the war was far from over. Every moment now was a step toward survival and dominance. Rena stood on the bridge, eyes on the fading glow of the destroyed flagship, thinking of the battles yet to come, the sacrifices, the strategies, and the courage that would define humanity in the face of the galaxy's deadliest hunters. The humans had stepped into legend, and the universe would never forget. The human fleet moved through the dark void, stars streaking past as engines pushed their ships forward, each vessel carrying the weight of countless lives and countless hopes. Captain Rena stood on the bridge of the horizon, eyes scanning the readings. The remnants of the Zorath fleet scattered but not gone. The humans had learned much from the previous battles about the Predators' tactics, their technology, their ruthlessness, and their pride. The Zorath were clever, but humans were cleverer, using strategy, courage, and adaptability to turn every threat into an opportunity. Suddenly, sensors picked up massive energy signatures ahead, cloaked ships shifting from the shadows. The main Zorath fleet had regrouped, larger, deadlier, more determined than ever. And yet, the humans did not waver. They knew the fight now would decide the fate of their colonies. Rena issued commands, her voice steady. All ships, Delta formation, weapons primed, shields maximum, scouts forward, drones ahead. We take the fight to them, but carefully, precision. First, firepower second. The crew responded with focus, every movement coordinated, every action purposeful. The first wave of Zorath fighters erupted from hiding, plasma streaks lighting the dark void, missiles and lasers fired in rapid succession. Human ships dodging, weaving, returning fire with a perfect blend of skill and technology. The battle was fierce, relentless, and beautiful in its intensity. From the bridge, Rena watched as human and Zorath ships collided, explosions painting the black canvas with light, ships twisting, turning, some destroyed instantly, others barely holding together. The humans had to use all their ingenuity, all their daring, to survive this final encounter. Deep in the center of the battlefield, the humans spotted the Zorath command ship, massive and heavily shielded, the core still pulsating with strange alien energy. The heart of the Predator fleet. Destroying it would scatter the remaining ships, end the war, and prove that humanity could never be underestimated. Rena called the strike team. This is our moment. We hit the core, disable it, and force the Zorath to retreat. Small teams board, support with drones and firepower. We do this now. The team nodded, determined, knowing that the mission was dangerous, perhaps deadly, but necessary. Boarding ships moved silently. Cloaking systems engaged, drones mapping the corridors, Marines ready for combat, grappling hooks deployed, magnetic boots gripping the hull. The humans slipped through the shadows, avoiding patrols, using every trick they had learned in the previous battles. Inside the command ship, alarms blared as Zorath realized the humans had infiltrated. Alien warriors rushed to defend, plasma rifles firing, claws slashing. Humans countered with precision, teamwork, and courage. Every step forward, a test of endurance and resolve. Rena's team reached the core chamber, the energy pulse bright, almost blinding alien symbols spinning. The heart of the Predator fleet, explosives placed carefully, hacking devices activated. The humans worked quickly, knowing that hesitation could cost them everything. Suddenly, the core began to react violently, energy surging, alarms screaming, the ship shaking, the Marines holding their ground, securing positions, disabling defense systems, neutralizing guards. The tension in the air so thick it could almost be felt. Outside, the human fleet coordinated a massive assault, focusing fire on weakened shields, directing energy to the command ship's sides, missiles tearing through armor, lasers cutting paths through the hull. The Zorath fought back fiercely, but the humans had planned every move, anticipated every response. Inside, the core destabilized, lights flickering, the air thick with energy, Marines and drones working tirelessly, Rena monitoring from the horizon, issuing updates. Keep steady, shield matrix down in 10 seconds, core access ready, all teams prepare for extraction. Every second critical. The final surge came, the core overloaded, massive pulse erupting from inside, energy waves knocking ships off balance, explosions ripping through the hull, the command ship shaking violently, Zorath fighters retreating in panic, the humans pushing forward, holding their ground, the boarding teams evacuated, explosions tearing corridors apart behind them, ships picking them up, retreating from the collapsing command ship, human fleet providing cover fire, protecting every vessel, every life, every step a triumph of strategy and courage. The Zorath fleet was broken, scattered, their command structure destroyed, ships retreating into deep space, defeated but alive. The humans had won, but victory was measured in courage, sacrifice, and perseverance, not just firepower. Rena looked across the fleet. Ships battered but alive, crew exhausted but triumphant. The humans had faced the galaxy's deadliest predators and shown that intelligence, courage, and unity were stronger than brute force, stronger than fear, stronger than hatred. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, a new era beginning. Humanity had stepped into legend. The predators had been humbled. The war had shifted. The galaxy had seen that humans were no longer prey, but hunters, strategists, warriors. And as the fleet moved toward home, repairs underway, wounded cared for, Rena stood on the bridge, eyes on the horizon, thinking of the battles yet to come, knowing that humanity's courage and determination would shape the future, and that no force in the galaxy would ever underestimate them again. The humans had survived, fought, and conquered, proving that even against the most feared predators, unity, intelligence, and courage could turn the tide. And the galaxy had taken note. The legend of humanity was just beginning, and it would shine among the stars forever.